As the old saying goes, ignorance is bliss. And I think that's a very apt saying for what we're about to discuss now. I'm going to assume that the majority of you know exactly who Cary Hardy is. For those of you that don't, he's a pinball YouTuber. Probably the biggest, probably the best pinball YouTuber. And we're lucky enough to have had him on this channel. What I'm not going to do is assume that you've seen every video that he's done over the last couple of days. He did one on Jaws, just like we've done on this channel. But the day before yesterday, if I've got my timing right, Cary produced a video talking about Pedretti pinball and the current state of play with the remake situation. Now, he clarified a number of things within that video, but I should probably point out that he also stated that he had been in correspondence with Pedretti Pinball, and he had discussed and agreed to sign, and had signed in fact, an NDA, which of course is a non-disclosure agreement. So there were parts of the whole process about Pedretti that he wasn't allowed to discuss. However, I haven't signed, well, I was going to say I haven't signed an NDA with Pedretti. I doubt Pedretti even know who we are over here on this channel. So we are blessed with the saying ignorance is bliss. We probably can discuss some of the titles which they may or may not be producing. I don't have a clue. But let me just tell you what Cary Hardy said. The first thing I was really pleased about was he said the licenses that are already in place for CGC, Chicago Gaming Company, they remain in place. So Chicago Gaming Company, I would take to understand, still have the license for Attack from Mars, Medieval Madness, Cactus Canyon, Monster Bash, etc., etc. That, for me, is really good news because as somebody that's, well, been lucky enough to have a Chicago Gaming Company game here in the form of a Cactus Canyon, they are built like tanks. There's nothing really compares, I think, to the build quality of a Chicago Gaming Company game. Possibly a Dutch Pinball. There's a few games that are built very, very well, but I'd certainly place CGC right at the very top of the list, that's for sure. So I think there were two things. Number one, I was a little bit concerned that they wouldn't be producing any more remakes. I sort of had it in my mind at some point I may like to get an Attack from Mars, bearing in mind it sits atop of my top 50 list, which is just out of shot over there. I'd quite like at some point to get myself a probably a Monster Bash again. These are all dreams. I'm dreaming about games. But what he also said was that there is a separate license which Pedretti Pinball have. Now, the ignorance is bliss bit is really founded in ignorance. I don't know much about Pedretti at all. For those of you that are new to the channel, I've not really been into pinball for that long. I've played pinball all my life, but in terms of collecting pinball machines or sort of being invested in the hobby, probably about 5 years, something. I think it was 2017, 2018, something like that. So there's massive gaps, massive holes in my knowledge, and I don't know much about Pedretti at all. What Cary went on to say is that they have got a license to build brand new replica pinball machines of former Bally Williams titles, but on the stipulation that they must use Bally Williams parts, which are going to be produced and manufactured in the States, I guess shipped over to Italy, which is where I think Pedretti are. The machines will be built there, and then they'll be shipped out worldwide. Pretty much what Cary said on there. Now, as I understand it, there is some kind of tie-in between Pedretti and Pinball Brothers. Now, this is just something I really wanted to clear up because I don't have any affiliation to any pinball manufacturer whatsoever. The couple of times I've played Pinball Brothers games, I haven't been completely thrilled with the feel of the flippers. So to find out that they're going to be using Bally Williams parts, I think is a really, really good thing. That I think is really good. Because I just think it'll eradicate whatever I felt was wrong with them. There are a lot of people that say they're perfectly fine, but they just feel different. I used to say the same about Jersey Jack up until I played this game, Elton John. People say mushy, don't they? Or mushy, depending on where you come from. People say the Jersey Jacks have a sort of mushy feel about them. Yeah, they do feel a little bit blanketed, if you want, a little bit soft. They are a little bit cushioned. They don't sort of have that that sort of sweet strike of the flipper that you certainly get when you play a Stern machine, that you get. I have a remake of a Theatre of Magic that has really good flipper action as well. The CGC games I mentioned as well seem to have that as well. So there's a certain feel of a flipper that I like, and I didn't feel certainly that Pinball Brothers games, I'm talking about Alien here, and I'm also talking about Queen, I didn't feel they had that snappiness, that sharpness. I also felt that when I played the Alien game, and I'm talking about not talking about the highway version, talking about the Pinball Brothers one, it felt a bit floaty. There was something almost as if the playfield was maybe slightly too glossy. I don't know, but the game was packed. It was an excellent game, and I think in many respects it's a dream theme. I think my point is here, I don't have any dog in the fight. And what I'm absolutely open to is being proven wrong and or changing my mind and being corrected on such things. And as I can ably demonstrate with Jersey Jack there, if you go and watch some of my other videos, we'll talk about Jersey Jack the flipper action. As soon as I think it's been rectified, I'll absolutely say it. So, obviously, Pedretti they've got big boots to fill, because what they have to do is they have to, I think, get to a point where they match CGC's build quality. But as Cary Hardy rightly said in his video, CGC have a little bit of a problem in terms of getting games out to customers. So that has a manufacturing issue, though. That's really a production issue more than a quality control issue. They're almost two separate things. If they can get their quality control right and they can manufacture at a steady pace, then I really do think they're onto a winner. But the reason this video is, I wanted to take a look at games which may be remade, which I would like to see remade. Now, Cary obviously signed a non-disclosure agreement, so he can't say what's about to be made. He can't even really speculate. But what he did say is, if you could think up your top 5 games, there's probably at least one in there. I listened to what he said, I thought, great game, and that's a great video. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, there are a certain number of games we can rule out, or well, clearly the ones that aren't Bally Williams, but we can certainly rule out those top titles like Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars, because, as he's specified in his video, the license is already held by CGC. I think what is clearly interesting here is nobody has got a monopoly on buying every single license off Bally Williams. It would probably be prohibitively expensive for anybody to do so. And competition in the marketplace is excellent. And I made that point when I spoke with Enzo on a video about Jaws. Everybody's got to make a brilliant pinball machine now, I feel, because there is so much choice. I watched the Jaws. It wasn't ready to reveal because it got leaked, and I suspect there's more information to come out, and I certainly hope there is. Possibly by the time I've even published this video, we'll have learned a little bit more about the Stern pinball machines. I'm talking about the Jaws pinball machine here. However, at the point I saw the sort of leaked reveal, I was undecided. I don't know whether to go for that, or go for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the Looney Tunes, or any number of other games. I'm sort of counting on, at some point, Dutch Pinball bringing out. I'm hoping it's Back to the Future. I really hope it is. But I've got to be honest with you, I think whatever Dutch Pinball, they've got so much credit in the bank with me, whatever they produce, I'll probably get whatever it is, unless it's sort of a Barbie theme or something like that. Obviously, I wouldn't bother, but they wouldn't do that anyway. But by and large, I trust them. I've had a lot of dealings with the company. That they're a company certainly that I trust very, very much. So if I'm looking for another pinball machine, which I certainly will be, and I'm looking to buy one, then competition is a good thing. But I think what this does by another manufacturer coming into the marketplace, maybe Stern don't get my money, maybe Spooky don't get my money, maybe it is Pedretti if they can make a good game. But it's got to be the right title. And it's certainly something I've been looking at recently, is trying to... There was a point where I had all my games were Stern Spike 2s. And that's gradually been watered down. Batman 66 is obviously being kept and will be kept. I think it's a magnificent game. And Deadpool is being kept because, you know, they're two of my favourite games. However, I've started to thin out the rest of the collection, which is why I've got myself an 8-ball deluxe as well. I got the Theatre of Magic. I'll certainly be in the market to get myself a Lord of the Rings quite soon as well. I just want to have a sort of mixture of games. So, that begs the question, which 5 games would I choose? So I've got my trusty leopard print pen, and what I've got in front of me, which if you see me staring sort of past you, I'm not being rude, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the Pinside Top 100, excuse me. Don't want that drink to go cold. I'm going to go through the Pinside Top 100, obviously not mention anything that's not a Bally Williams. And we'll try and find 5 games, and I'll give you my list, my 5 games that I would like Pedretti to make, assuming they're going to make good games, of course. And in the comment section below, I want yours, and I'll be very, very interested to hear what it is. So obviously, look, you've got to discount Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars. They're both in the top 5, right, of the Pinside Top 100. They had Monster Bash there is at number 10, Cactus Canyon's at number 11. These have all been done. I mean, they've been very, very sensible, haven't they, in the games that they've picked, certainly. CGC, Chicago Gaming Company. The first game that I can see on the Pinside Top 100, play this game, pull the list up yourself, pull up the Pinside Top 100. So the first game that I can see, which is number 13, is the Twilight Zone. So we're going to ask this question here. For me, would I want the Twilight Zone to be remade? It's not my favourite game. I'm not a great Pat Lawler fan. It has to be said. Having said that, my friend Alan does want to convert me. He does want to teach me the beauty of Twilight Zone. And as I've proven on numerous occasions, I'm happy for my mind to be changed. That's why, even though I didn't like I Am Maiden, I went out and bought one to give it a fair chance. Even though I didn't like, I bought Walking Dead the first time, I didn't enjoy it. Perhaps a year or 2 later, my pinball skills improved a bit. I thought, I'm going to give Walking Dead another chance. I'm happy to give things a second chance. I really am. But at the moment, if Pedretti were to suddenly announce, we're going to make the Twilight Zone, would I go and buy one? No, I wouldn't. I would probably still go out and buy, a Stern or a Spooky or, or something else. Just so working our way down the list. Okay, Indiana Jones, The Pinball Adventure. I have to say, it would be an option, although I'm wondering if they would actually be able to build this game. Just because there's other licensing involved, isn't there? It's not. It has a film license, has a movie license. I'm not sure they'd be able to get it. So I'm just going to leave that one. 21st on the list, the Pinside Top 100, is the Addams Family. I don't know why I'm going to let this one go, but not let the other one go. But I'm going to. I think they possibly would be interested in making this. Maybe the licensing would be prohibitive. They made a lot of these games. Is this not the most manufactured game of all time? Do they need to do this? I don't know. But it wouldn't sway me. This wouldn't sway me. It would not stop me going and buying a Looney Tunes or something like that. Next one down, Star Trek The Next Generation. Now we're talking. I love this game. I don't think they'd be able to do it, but if they were to make a remake, and it would look dated, I'm going to put this down on my list. For the moment, I'm writing down Star Trek Next Gen. That would be on my list. You haven't got to go too far down the list, though, to get to number 29, which is Tales of the Arabian Nights. Now, I'm going to put that straight on my list. I'm not even going to tease you there. Look, Papa Duke made amazing games. I've got one of them here, Theatre of Magic, and not many of you will know this. I was very, very close to either getting a theatre or getting a Tales of the Arabian Nights. And there was Lord of the Rings. There were sort of three opportunities there. In the end, it's just timing, money, Foo Fighters going. A lot of things sort of worked out for me to get theatre. However, Tales of the Arabian Nights was a serious contender. What it is, though, it's a glorious game, and it's a beautiful game. And if they're going to reproduce these parts, they need to be reproduced really, really well. It's golden, it's bejeweled. It's just a gorgeous, stunning game. It's definitely on the list, by the way, Tales of the Arabian Nights. I would be very, very interested in that. To such an extent, I possibly would. It would be so tempting for me if there was, maybe Jaws, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Tales of the Arabian Nights. I would find that a tough decision. Probably the toughest of the lot. A little bit further down, you've got Theatre of Magic. Now, it's a bit of a strange one for me because I have one. I don't feel any need to do that. I do sort of hope they produce it, though, because apparently they're going to produce some spare parts which are back compatible. So if the trunk goes on my Theatre of Magic, then hopefully I will be able to buy a replacement part from Pedretti. So I think that's pretty cool. Next down is Scared Stiff. Now, it's a great game, Scared Stiff. I think there's a lot in it to reproduce, particularly with the back glass there as well. Would they do it? I'm not so sure. I think it'd be a good shout. I do wonder if one of my two, Tales of Arabian Nights, Star Trek, Cary said if you make your top 5, one of them will be in there. I'm gonna hold him to that, certainly. And Scared Stiff, I must be honest, I probably wouldn't, for the pure and simple reason I think it's a great game, but I found it a little bit easy. And I don't find, I'm not a great player, I don't find too many games easy. I think I got close to completing Scared Stiff the first time I ever played it. So I probably would leave that one. So I'm scrolling down the list. A lot more. Oh, okay. Now we're on to one here. Whitewater, Williams, 1993. I absolutely would. Yeah, again, that's the thing. That's tempting for me. Let's say I'm allowed to buy one pinball machine this year. 2024, obviously. That would be a massive, massive consideration. I am blessed with the fact I'm borrowing a Whitewater from Mark very, very soon. So we're going to be featuring that on this channel. There'll be loads of Whitewater videos, hopefully. So that's something we're looking forward to. Yeah, so what have I got at the moment? I've got Star Trek Next Generation, Tales of Arabian Nights, and Whitewater. Oh, you've only got to go down one more in the list. I think something might have to go. Is Circus Voltaire? Yes. Circus Voltaire, I would definitely be tempted with. There is such a wonderful back catalogue of games for Pedretti to choose from. I think it's magnificent. It really is. I'm going to scroll down some more. Oh, my word. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Would I be interested in that? I actually would. I tell you what, I'm going to put that on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down a little bit more. Because what I have, a Star Trek Next Generation, Tales of Arabian Nights, Whitewater, Circus Voltaire, Creature. I'm going to scrap Star Trek, and not because I don't like it, because I think it might be a pain in the backside to get the license for it. Okay, what else have we got after Creature? Funhouse. I'm going to assume they're DMDs. I'm going to assume these are dot matrix display games. So I'm going to rule Funhouse out of this. Bram Stoker's Dracula, probably subject to the same licensing issues. To be honest with you, it wouldn't particularly tempt me anyway. It's a good game. It really is a very good game. But I would probably still get Looney Tunes or Texas Chainsaw Massacre ahead of that. Oh, the Getaway High Speed 2. Good game. Excellent game, actually. You know, a classic game. Everybody should own one of these at some point. A really great introduction to pinball. I think it really is. Would I want it? Would I buy it? I wouldn't. I think this is the thing. I don't know what the pricing is like elsewhere in the world, but you can probably pick up a Getaway High Speed 2 on the second-hand market for, I mean, prices have dropped a bit, £2,500, £3,000, something like that. You're not going to go and pay £7,000 for one, are you? Let's be fair. Even if it's a brand new one, I don't think so. Just below that, Congo. I would be very, very tempted. It has to be said. I'd be very tempted with Congo. Not at that price point, but it's a rare game. And I think it's a brilliant game. I really do. However, I think I could probably get one, I would hope, for cheaper than whatever they're going to remake the game. So it's weird. Maybe Star Trek Next Generation doesn't get wiped off, because this is the thing. Go down a little bit further. World Cup Soccer, Papa Duke game, great game, too dated. And I will tell you now, there's one thing I do know about, because it's because the industry I work in, which is football, soccer to you folks over in the States. The governing federation are called FIFA. And they run football, soccer on a global scale. I don't think this is an easy license to reproduce. So I think no World Cup Soccer. I would be very interested if it was a modern version of it, though, and it wasn't 94. I think that would be... there'd be some really interesting things you could do with World Cup Soccer. Just going a little bit down the list. Next down the list, Fishtails. I just don't see the point in the Fishtails. I mentioned it on yesterday's video. What's the point? Made 13,000, was it 13,640? I've had a fishtails. Not only did I have a fishtails, I got close to getting another fishtails. I don't think a month goes by where somebody doesn't offer me a fishtails, or I'm told of a fishtails that's coming up for sale. So I think I would just forget that. Revenge from Mars, don't worry about it. It's just never going to happen. Just looking, no good gophers. No, I think we're running down pretty low down the list. Judge Dredd. That's interesting. I have to say, Judge Dredd is a very, very interesting game. I think it's a no, though, just because of the price point. I think we're getting so far down the list. I'm just going to keep looking. I was just going to say, I'm just going to keep looking just in case something grabs my attention. And something has. Something has grabbed my attention. And it's up there on the list. And that is Champion Pub. Champion Pub. They just don't make games like this anymore. When I was looking at these sort of secret, unofficial, stern reveal of Jaws, I was looking at it, and I think there's still more to come. I would hope that's the case. I don't think we've seen everything in that reveal. I would hope that the shark on Jaws either spits out the ball or swallows it. Otherwise, why just have the head of the shark? You might as well have a big shark on there. So I'm hoping something like that happens. I don't think the boat, the orca, looks particularly like the orca. I don't even know why the speedboat's in there. I think they missed a trick not having the barrels on the playfield. There's a number of things they probably could have done on that one. But when I was thinking about it and looking at Jaws, I kept thinking about Champion Pub and just how they used to make these old games. And I think I would. I think if I could buy a brand new Champion Pub, and I don't think they'll do it. And I believe, if I'm not much mistaken, I think there were less than 2,000 Champion Pubs made, same thing, isn't it? That's going to put it down. That's my 5. There you go. Now, that's without going on. I will just quickly click on the second page because I can't help myself and I love pinball. Yeah, I mean, there's Terminator 2 there. There's some great games. There really are some great games. But Dirty Harry's a really good game, by the way. I'm sure you played Dirty Harry. Great game. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pay £7,000 for a brand new Dirty Harry. That's for sure. So, my list of 5 games which I would like Pedretti to make, which would give me, as a consumer, a bit of a problem, a nice problem, and what they call them, first world problems. A first world problem to have would be, in no particular order, Champion Pub, Tales of the Arabian Nights, Whitewater, Circus Voltaire, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. You're not going to agree with all of those. You're not even going to agree possibly with even 1 or 2 of them, but I would be very interested in hearing your 5 machines that you would like Pedretti to make. Remember the rules. It can't be the ones that CGC are already making. What is interesting, though, as I will go back to the start of the video, what did Cary Hardy say? If you have a list of your top 5 favourite games that you would like remade, he said something like, I would imagine that at least one of them will be being remade by Pedretti Pinball. And there you go. So, as far as I'm concerned, I have a Champion Pub, Tales of Arabian Nights, Whitewater, Circus Voltaire, or Creature from the Black Lagoon is going to be made, and made by Pedretti. I look forward to seeing the game. I'd look forward to playing the games. And if they're as good as they could be, and as good as they should be, I think it's a really, really good thing for pinball, because I think it gives us more options. I think it brings some of those old titles back to life. And I think it probably keeps some other pinball manufacturers on their toes. And competition is a good thing, because everybody has to up their game. Because it goes back to what I always ask on this channel when I look at a game and I think of one. Have they made the best pinball machine that they possibly could? And the standard just seems so high now. I was looking back there, I don't know if you saw it, they announced a topper for Scooby-Doo. I was lucky to have Scooby-Doo here. Actually, it's not on my my list to go up there. There's a couple that aren't on there, actually. I remembered Roadshow and Scooby-Doo weren't on there. But Scooby-Doo, they've released a top-up. And even though I had it here, I'd sort of forgotten about Scooby-Doo. That game is packed. It's packed. And I looked at that and thought, did they make the best pinball machine? They absolutely could, Spooky. I really do. I think they packed it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Looney Tunes and, of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is exactly the same. Certainly feel that's the case. I was just about to point to Big Lebowski. It's not there at the moment. Certainly feel that's the case with Big Lebowski more than anything other. It has imagination, doesn't it? There's a lot of in there. And if they can get this right, Pedretti, and they end up making really good representative copies of those former games like Whitewater, not only that, make them better. Because technology's improved, right? I guess they're not going to need all those big boards. They're not going to do that. Not going to have the same boards on there, are they? I'm assuming they're not going to. Then I think we're in for a real treat. Because I love this hobby. Love this hobby of pinball. And I think more than anything else, I can't wait to see more games come out. And I can't wait to play them. I think it will be no bad thing at all if there's people with a lot more of these older games in their collection, even if they are remakes.